This time, knowing somebody that was involved in what's the name of the Nuwabians?
Nuwabians, yeah.
The Nuwabians was...
The what?
What was your...
You was going to do that. What was it?
The Nuwabians.
You subscribe to that?
A lot of people did, apparently.
Yeah, they said they were aliens. And he was like, yes, I guess we're aliens.
No, we weren't aliens. We just knew that there were aliens.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't think... Now I get what you asked me. No, I didn't think I was an alien.
Oh.
I just thought there could be aliens somewhere.
Did you join the cult? Go ahead.
I thought he said he was the alien and y'all were aliens.
No, just him.
Oh, just him.
Yeah, he was the man from the planet Risk.
He didn't bestow that upon them.
Come on.
Risk.
Mercury, Venus. Where that one at?
It's over there.
Yo, that arguing me about a potential flat Earth, but this nigga that's from Risk.
Yeah, but I was 16. You're 49.
You was 16. You was 16.
Circle back on the flat Earth. That's right.
Flat Earth back.
It circled back.
Flat Earth boys back up
We
there.
ain't forget that flat Earth smoke.
Where Risk was at? Between Mars.
It was in Ilion.
What? All right.
It was the 18th planet in the... What galaxy was it in? It was in a different galaxy. I don't remember. I was a teenager.
It was Milky Way. It was Snickers.
All right, so they caught you when you were young. I was asking that when I watched it.
Yeah, I started reading the books when I was like 14.
Yo.
In the labyrinthine world of modern media, where the raw pulse of hip-hop beats collides with the sharp edges of intellectual discourse, few moments capture the exquisite tension of human vulnerability, quite like the one that unfolded on a recent episode of the Joe Budden podcast. Here, amid the familiar banter of studio lights and microphone feedback, a seasoned academic and newly minted co-host laid bare a fragment of his youth, a chapter marked by fervent belief in extraterrestrial origins and the enigmatic pull of a group known as the Nuwabians. Joe Budden, the podcast's unflinching anchor, whose eyes have seen the highs and lows of fame's unforgiving stage, reacted with a shock that rippled through the room like a bass drop in an empty club. It was not mere surprise. It was the jolt of recognizing how even the most grounded minds can once orbit the fringes of the extraordinary. T.O. grasped the depth of this revelation. One must first navigate the historical undercurrents that birthed such a group. The Nuwabians emerged in the turbulent 1970s, a time when Black America grappled with the ashes of civil rights victories and the embers of revolutionary fire. Founded by a charismatic figure named Dwight York, later rebranded as Malachi Z. York, the movement began as the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors, a collective ostensibly dedicated to cultural empowerment and spiritual awakening. York, a Brooklyn-born polymath of sorts, wove together threads from ancient Egyptian mysticism, Kemetic history, and Islamic esotericism, promising his followers a reclamation of lost African heritage. But beneath this veneer of upliftment lay a cosmology as vast as it was otherworldly, teachings that positioned Black people not merely as descendants of earthly kings, but as star-seeded beings from distant galaxies, engineered by alien architects to seed civilizations on this blue marble we call home. This extraterrestrial narrative was no fringe afterthought. It was the pulsating heart of Nuwabian doctrine. Adherents were schooled in the idea that humanity's true progenitors hailed from a ninth planet called Rizq, a celestial body orbiting in the vast expanse of the Milky Way. York, in his role as the master teacher, positioned himself as a bridge between these cosmic realms, a being who had traversed dimensions to guide the chosen back to their stellar birthright. Communal compounds sprang up like way stations for the soul, first in Brooklyn's shadowed corners, then migrating southward to the sun-baked fields of Georgia, where a sprawling pyramid complex rose as a monument to this interstellar gospel. Here, families gathered not just for sermons, but for rituals that blurred the line between prayer and performance, chants invoking ancient gods, dances mimicking planetary alignments, and meditations aimed at unlocking dormant starseed DNA. For a young seeker in the 1990s, amid the crack epidemic scars and the hip-hop renaissance's roar, such promises must have felt like a lifeline, a way to transcend the terrestrial chains of poverty and prejudice. Enter Marc Lamont, a prodigy whose intellectual trajectory would one day illuminate classrooms and cable news screens. Born in 1978 in Philadelphia, Hill was the quintessential overachiever, valedictorian, debate team captain, a mind sharpened on the whetstone of urban grit and unyielding ambition. By his early teens, he was devouring books on black radicalism, Malcolm X's firebrand speeches, Frantz Fanon's psychological dissections of colonialism, the poetic fury of Amiri Baraka. It was in this fertile soil, around age 14, that the seeds of Nawabian thought took root. Perhaps it began with a chance encounter, a borrowed tome from a street philosopher, or the allure of a community promising not just knowledge, but kinship. Hill, like so many drawn to York's orbit, found himself ensnared by the allure of a narrative that elevated the marginalized to cosmic nobility. No longer mere victims of history's boot, they were architects of galaxies, exiled princes of the stars. The shock on Joe Budden's face during their exchange was, in many ways, a mirror to our collective unease with such stories. Budden, a man who has chronicled his own battles with addiction, betrayal, and redemption through unfiltered lyrics and podcast confessions, knows the terrain of personal reinvention intimately. His journey from rapper to podcaster, a pivot marked by the dissolution of Slaughterhouse, the highs of chart-topping mixtapes, and the lows of public feuds, has instilled in him a radar for authenticity. When Hill, now a tenured professor at the CUNY Graduate Center and a fixture on Al Jazeera's Upfront, unveiled this adolescent entanglement, it wasn't just gossip fodder. It was a seismic admission that pierced the veil of Hill's polished persona, the BET News correspondent who dissects global inequities with surgical precision, the author of Nobody, Casualties of America's War on the Vulnerable, suddenly humanized by the folly of youth. Budden's wide-eyed reaction, equal parts incredulity and empathy, echoed the unspoken question: how does one reconcile the weight of such a past with the gravitas of the present? Yet to dwell solely on the shock would be to miss the broader symphony. This moment on the podcast served as a portal into the enduring appeal of cults in Black American life, a phenomenon as old as the transatlantic slave trade itself. From the spiritualist churches of the early 20th century to the Black Hebrew Israelites' militant theologies, these groups have often arisen as bulwarks against erasure. The Nawabians, with their alien-infused Afrocentrism, were no exception. York's teachings resonated because they weaponized science fiction against systemic fiction, the lie of black inferiority peddled by textbooks and talk shows. In positing followers as extraterrestrial elites, the group offered a radical inversion. What if the oppressors were the anomalies, and the oppressed the true originals of creation? This wasn't mere escapism, it was epistemological warfare, a bid to rewrite the stars in the image of the sidelined. That Hill's involvement, brief as it was, underscores the seductive pull of such ideologies during formative years. At 16, when most peers were navigating mixtapes and first crushes, he was immersed in York's sprawling library of scrolls and pamphlets, over 400 volumes blending quantum physics with pyramidology, UFO lore with Yoruba spirituality. The compounds buzzed with activity, youth programs teaching Swahili alongside stargazing sessions, communal meals flavored with teachings on vibrational healing. For a bright black teen in post-industrial Philly, where opportunity dangled like a distant mirage, this must have felt like discovery's dawn. The belief in alien ancestry wasn't a delusion to be mocked. It was a framework for empowerment, a way to stare down the void of societal neglect and declare, we came from the void itself. Hill has since reflected on this period not as blind faith, but as a quest for meaning. A teenage odyssey through the cosmos of ideas, where the line between metaphor and mania blurs under the weight of wonder.